Hello, I am using my Eat, Drink, and Tweet mug today because I'm talking about social media, specifically social media schedulers. Now, if you are not familiar with my videos, then you might want to take some notes. Even if you already have a social media scheduler, you still might want to take some notes. Okay, as of the end of October of 2020, because these things change all the time, people, as of this time period, some social media schedulers are not posting to Facebook profiles. I repeat, as of the end of October 2020, some social media schedulers are not posting to Facebook profiles. Now, sometimes it's groups, sometimes it's profiles on Facebook, sometimes they post wherever, everywhere they can possibly post. That is all because of Facebook. That is not because of the social media scheduler itself. It is all because of Facebook and the relationship that they have with that social media scheduler, or how the wind is blowing that day. So that's a little update. Okay, so what is a social media scheduler? Why might you want one? Why do you have one? Why might you want more than one? Why do people have them at all? Why do I think you should have one? Which ones do I use, etc.? See, that's why I said you might want to take notes. Okay, so first of all of the social media schedulers that I use and everything else that I use for my business, oops, I made a mistake there, that I use for my business can be found on my, oh, no, I didn't. I have to do a new one. Sorry. Can be found on my website right here, bit.ly/Bonnie Biz Tools. bit.ly/Bonnie Biz Tools. There you go. That's right there. If you want to see anything that I use for my business, whether it's a social media scheduler, this mic, the lights, the software that I use to live stream, anything at all, things I decorate my home with, no, and my self-care actually, bit.ly/Bonnie Biz Tools. I'm kidding about the home decorating. That's a different page. Anyway, people have asked. Okay. So, Bonnie Biz Tools, you'll see that I actually have two social media schedulers that I have used in the past. I use one of them right now. The one that I've used in the past, and the reason why I recommend this is because different types of schedulers appeal to different types of people. So there's one called socialbee.io. I'm an affiliate for that one, and I do recommend that people use that if they like to have the comfort of exactly when things should be posted, if they want socialbee.io to take over, the best times to post on certain platforms, and if they like more of a spreadsheet view of all of their social media posts, then socialbee.io is a great way to go. I don't happen to like the spreadsheet view. I don't like spreadsheets at all. I don't do spreadsheets. And so I actually use Buffer. Now, I have used Post Planner in the past, and I love Post Planner. They simply raised their rates, and I didn't need it for what they were including with the huge rate raise, and so I got rid of them. I have used Hootsuite in the past. That is fine too. That is okay. Now, there are lots of other ways that you can post or even schedule on social media. For example, if you're like me and you make your images in Canva, Canva allows you to schedule. However, big fat however, you want to make sure that whatever you're using to schedule, whatever tools you're using to schedule your social media posts, you also absolutely positively want to make sure that that scheduler is going to give you the analytics. In other words, it's going to give you the numbers about how your posts have been working, about which posts have worked the best, which ones got the most engagement, which ones got the most comments, the most views, the most shares, how many people were reached with whatever type of post you're talking about. So, you don't want to have Canva schedule things out. I mean, it's wonderful if if you use that, but don't think that they're also going to provide all of the analytics that you want. Likewise, if you schedule straight away on any social media platform. Now, we all know that every social media platform wants us to stay on the platform, right? Of course they do, because why wouldn't they? So we know that. And yes, it is true that your social media posts may or may not reach fewer people if you use a third-party tool like social media schedulers. However, it's years past where you're actually really penalized by using a third party, because there are so many third party software platforms out there, and the social media space is very, very noisy, and people are relying on social media more than ever. So platforms are really not particularly penalizing you for using third-party software. So that is old practice. That is not best practices. Best practices is, if you need to, go ahead and use a social media scheduler and don't worry about it. Use good copy, use good images, use strategy, use hashtags. That's going to mean a lot more to each individual social media post than simply using a scheduler. Don't worry about using a scheduler, please. And anybody who says, oh, no, you can't use schedulers, you've got to post directly, organically on the platform itself. Otherwise, you get a huge penalty and no one will see. No, that's old news. That's like years back old news. Don't listen to whoever's telling you information like that, because they don't know what they're talking about. Okay, so social media schedulers, absolutely use them, but make sure that they are also providing exactly the analytics that you want. So, for example, when you look at your Instagram stats, okay? You look at your Instagram stats. So, how do you get your Instagram stats? First of all, you have to have a business account. You have to have a business account. Now, how do you get a business account on Instagram? You simply go to your account, to your profile, and you scroll down to settings, and then through settings, you can keep scrolling, and then you see a little thing that says in blue, it will say switch over to business account. Click that. Voila! Now you're a business account. That's it. Literally, that's it. And then you can get stats like these all the time, every week, but it's not retroactive. So, Instagram is not going to start giving you stats from last week when you just made it a business account 32 seconds ago. So it will start giving you stats going forward every 7 days. So we'll say, the last 7 days, etc. Okay. So here's one of the people that I work for. It's one of my clients, and these are some of their latest stats. And this is what can happen when you use strategy on social media. This is what can happen. So the amount of accounts that they've reached is up 279%. The amount of interactions over the past 7 days is up 370.5%. The amount of followers, this is basically when I started working with them, that's how many followers they had. So we're really going to up that amount also. And then different posts that I've shared, stories that I've shared, etc. And then you can also get the stats on the posts and the stories, which ones were, worked the best, which ones were the favorites. You can also do top 9 and see what are the top 9 posts on their feed. That's just the feed. Which top 9, were the top 9 favorites, etc. So, you can get lots of stats from the platform itself, but that's just over the past 7 days. That's only over the past 7 days. So if you want to look at stats over a 30-day period or a 10-day period, you can't do that organically with the platform. You need to do it from a social media scheduler. And you can absolutely get the stats that you want. Now, different schedulers cost different amounts of money. I don't tend to use the most expensive ones because I don't think it's necessary. I really don't. Unless you've got just thousands and thousands and thousands of followers, you're putting ad spend into your post, things like that, then maybe I would need to up the ante a bit. But my clients, I do not ever have them use the most expensive one. So they're really not spending more than about $15 a month max for a social media scheduler. So I think you can get a lot of bang for your buck that way. It's not a lot of money. Okay. Now, so I've told you which ones I've used in the past. I currently use Buffer, and I've said why you might want to use one, and that you're not getting a penalty. Okay. Now, how do you work your social media scheduler? Well, each one works a little bit differently, but then they all basically work the same in that you load up your accounts. So if you're on LinkedIn, you want to make sure and you should be, you want to make sure that your social media scheduler posts to LinkedIn. If you are on Facebook and you have a Facebook group, you want to make sure your social media scheduler posts to your Facebook groups. So it's really important because each scheduler is a little bit different. Some schedulers like Planoly, they really are more for Instagram. And they're really not for some others, and then some schedulers will not include LinkedIn. Well, I would never use a social media scheduler that did not include LinkedIn. So all of the ones that I've ever used include LinkedIn, they include Facebook, they include Twitter, they include Instagram, because those are the places that I post. They also include Pinterest. I think that's really important too. So think about what you need your social media scheduler for. And when you're budgeting for that and you're thinking about how much are you willing to spend, remember, all of the social media schedulers, they all have a free trial. Sometimes you can even try it for up to 2 weeks free. So try it out. If they have a situation where people can train you, like, for example, socialbee.io has so much great free training with their experts over the phone, and I did it over Zoom. Plus, they have so many incredible YouTube videos that you can access when you've got socialbee.io. I mean, I think the training there is fabulous. I think the socialbee.io training is actually better than any other training that I've seen on social media schedulers. But so you want to see, do they have training? Are there any free trials? How long is the free trial? Does it include all of the platforms that you wanted to include? And what type of stats does it give you? That's really important. It's really, really important to check these things out. Don't just buy a social media scheduler because somebody else uses it, because that somebody else is not you. That somebody else does not want to do everything that you want to do with your specific accounts and your specific business and your specific followers. So think about what your goals are, what platforms you are going to be on, you're currently on, what platforms you're planning on being on, what stats you want to give, you want to get from the scheduler, and is the scheduler something that you see yourself using, the way it's laid out, the way they're delivering the stats, how much money it is, the training that they have. Is it something that you can see yourself using on a daily, on a weekly, on a monthly, on a yearly basis? That's really, really important, because if you don't see yourself using it, what's the point of even spending your time checking it out, right? So you need to make sure that you actually will use it. And social media schedulers save a whole lot of time because best practice, despite things that come up every now and again, is to batch your social media, to spend an hour or two a week creating all the posts for the week, or all the posts for the 2 weeks, or all the posts for the month, however you want to batch it. Create them all, load them up into the social media scheduler, and that's it. You don't need to worry about that anymore. You already set the queue, that's Queue. So you're already setting it so that you know exactly every day, the times, the days, all of that, the time zone. You know exactly when your posts are going to be posting. You know exactly when they're going to be posting. And remember that sometimes Instagram makes you go back and say, yes, you have to have your phone. I don't know where my phone is. You have to have your phone, and you get a notification, and then it's like, you have to click, yes, I do want to send it now. Well, I don't want to be bothered with that. I want it to be scheduled and sent straight through the scheduler. That's why I use Buffer. Some social media schedulers will say, oh yeah, we can do Instagram, but then it's really, they're not posting straight away. They're setting it in the queue and they're sending you a reminder notification that then you have to have your phone ready and click, yes, do this right now. Otherwise, it won't post at that time. I don't want to be bothered with that. My phone is almost always on Do Not Disturb, so I'm not going to get those notifications. I don't want to be bothered. So make sure that you check into all of the particulars with your social media scheduler. Make sure that you check that out. And again, if you want to see any of the things that I talked about in terms of my social media schedulers and everything else that I use for my business, go to bit.ly/BonnieBizTools. If you have any questions about specifically social media schedulers or about social media at all, please put them down in the comments and I will address them ASAP. Thanks, guys. See ya.